Welcome to this Fiesta session, where we will talk about the outcomes of two projects. One is the AI Digital Assistant, or AIDA, as we usually call it for short, which is an internal OU project looking to support teaching and learning within the OU with the use of generative AI. And also, we'll be looking at the outcomes of an externally funded project, a project funded by the UKRI called SAGE-RAI, which stands for Smart Assessment and Guided Education with Responsible AI. I'm Alex Mikroyanidis. I'm a Senior Research Fellow at the Knowledge Media Institute of the Open University. I've been at the OU for more than 16 years now. My background and expertise is in technology-enhanced learning. I've been looking in the novel applications of educational technology, in personalized learning, in self-regulated learning, in open education. And more recently, I've also been fascinated by the tremendous potential that generative AI has to transform education. I'm presenting this session together with my colleague, Aisling Third. Aisling, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. So I never quite know how to describe myself. My background is in maths, philosophy, linguistics, computing. I do all kinds of things. And have broadly been working in various forms of AI for a long time, with an increasing focus, I think, on the socially aware, socially conscious, socially just uses of technology. Yes, I've worked on various digital education projects. I've been at the OU for 15 years. Yeah, I'm also doing an awful lot with generative AI and trying to go beyond responsible AI. So yeah, that's me.
All right. We can move on to our little introduction, where we will cover what basically motivates us to do this work in KMI, and what these projects that I mentioned before are about. So our first a big motivator is the potential of generative AI to act as a personal tutor, to act as to help students with one-to-one mentorship. Some of you may already be familiar with Bloom's study, where it was evidence that the average tutored student was above 98% of the students in the control class that had no one-to-one mentorship. And these findings have been again and again verified by other researchers, making making personalized learning one of the holy grails of education, which obviously is really difficult to scale, and it also from a social perspective, it also reinforces socioeconomic inequalities, meaning that only the more privileged, the more financially able students can usually afford to have this level of personalized support in their studies. So one of our motivations for this work is to investigate if and how generative AI can actually help students in this. Obviously, a generative AI agent cannot replace a human tutor. We are not there yet. but maybe it can provide some basic support, which is very much needed, especially for students that are struggling with remote learning, to keep up with their studies. The other thing we are closely looking at is how the use of generative AI is being evolves, and how it can be adapted, how generative AI can be adapted to suit the needs of learners by adopting different personas and different roles. So this is an example, a list of personas, AI that the AI can assume, which has been recently published in a UNESCO guide. And this comes from Mike Sarples, which some of you may already know. He's an emeritus OU professor. So he has been looking into some of the scenarios where the use of generative AI can make sense. For example, as a possibility engine to explore different scenarios, as a Socratic opponent where the student engages into a debate with the AI, as a collaborative coach, and so on and so forth. There are a few examples there, and there are a lot more coming up in the literature as more and more researchers and educators are experimenting with the use of generative AI within different learning scenarios. Right. So I mentioned earlier that one of the projects that we'll be presenting today is AIDA. That's the AI digital assistant, which we have developed within our team in KMI. This is a learning companion for supporting learners that are studying remotely. So this is predominantly addressed to OU students and is aiming to complement their online learning environment with some more dynamic and interactive learning tools. It has been designed to enhance student engagement and provide also some personalized support by integrating AI-powered tutoring modes and also some providing real-time feedback to students. We will go through the core functionalities later at this session. We have some videos to show you, but just to give you a taste, the core functionalities that we are currently working on, and I should stress that this is work in progress, are different tutoring modes, similar to what I showed you in the previous slide, where the AI assumes the role of, for example, a Socratic opponent or a personal tutor. We have multimodal interactions through voice or text, interactive flashcards for active recall, dynamic quizzes for self-assessment, and also students can customize dynamically the text of the course to enhance comprehension. A few words also about the SAGE-RAI project. So as I mentioned before, this is an externally funded project funded from the UKRI. We in KMI are leading this, and we have partnered up with the Open Data Institute, which was founded by Tim Berners-Lee. And together we are looking to deploy the AI digital assistant at both institutes within online and remote learning environments that the ODI has, and also we have through the Open Learn platform. And we've been looking into evaluating the educational benefits of this deployment, and also looking at business cases and structural and process models associated with this deployment, and most importantly, into the ethical challenges and guidance which is needed. Right. I'll quickly go through some EDI, equality, diversity, and inclusion principles that we have been following, and Asling is going to dig deeper into those in a minute. So we are using the AREA framework, the Anticipate, Reflect, Engage, Act. The goal is exploration of ethical and societal effects of generative AI in education with a does it shift power lens on AI and justice. And for this, we are working with our fantastic colleague, Tracy Farrell, whom some of you may know. She's leading a Future Leaders Fellowship, also funded by the UKRI, on shifting power. If you want to have a look at that project, the URL is at the bottom of this slide. The bias is another aspect we are looking into. Existing societal inequality can be reflected in every step of generative AI design and training, which often leads to biased data sets and outputs. In terms of representation, Gen AI training prioritizes majority perspectives quite often, which leads to smaller population groups being underrepresented. And finally, accessibility is also quite important, as generative AI systems may create resources or interactions which are not accessible to users and may not be able to tailor outputs appropriately. Specifically, when it comes to lifelong learning, we are looking into how we can, how generative AI can help us bridge the digital divide. The reliance on digital platforms for lifelong learning can exclude those who lack access to technology or lack the necessary digital literacy skills. So it's important that we provide guidance and support with this respect. In this respect, financial barriers are also should not be overlooked, are quite important. The cost of accredited courses can be prohibitive for many lifelong learners, so limiting access to those that can afford it and perpetuating socioeconomic disparities is a major issue. As I mentioned before, generative AI can potentially help with overcoming some of these barriers. Recognition of prior learning is a major issue in lifelong learning. Specifically, formal recognition of prior learning can be biased towards traditional educational paths. So this is quite important to take into consideration. Lack of inclusive pedagogy. Lifelong learning courses may not be based on inclusive pedagogical principles that accommodate diverse learning needs and abilities. And finally, cultural relevance. A lot of courses available may not adequately address the cultural backgrounds and experiences of diverse learners, which makes the educational content less relatable for certain groups of learners. So this is another opportunity for generative AI to help adapt educational content across cultural contexts. Right, so I'll hand over to Asling. I think, unless there are some questions already, I think there is one from Brigitte. Right, so this is a very good question. Will AIDA be available for all subjects, and when will students be able to access this assistant, please? So this is an excellent question. We are still working on this. We are piloting this within groups of students in OpenLearn, as we'll present later on. But as of now, there is no set timeline as to when this will be made available for all OU students. I think this is Is that right, Aisling?
Yes, we're about to start a trial with some of the introductory courses, the OU Ready module for students just starting at the OU. So yeah, we're trialing different aspects with different student groups.
Thank you, because
right.
I thought for the access courses and level 1, that's probably be wonderful to have something like that, because that's when students struggle the most with digital literacy and AI literacy, I believe.
Yes, I believe so too. And yeah, it's partly, obviously, we want to make sure it all works technically, but also we want to make sure we're doing it right. Because if we do it badly at that stage, it could be catastrophic. But yes, we're very keen to try and actually get things happening on a larger scale as soon as we can to bring the benefits when we figure it out. So, so ethics. So I'm going to broadly talk about ethics. As I said at the intro, I'm quite interested in going beyond what's called responsible AI, which I sort of feel sets like a minimum standard for how to behave. But you know, we can do better, particularly being the OU. So yes, and I think this will be pretty high level. The key thing I think to start with is that a lot of the ethical issues and a lot of the reasons people are very concerned about ethics, particularly with generative AI, is that it reflects human problems. Generative AI is trained on massive amounts of examples from the internet of things that humans have created, and those things reflect the good and the bad about how humans do things. So we need to be especially careful because, of course, there isn't actually, you know, a thinking mind behind this. So I think that's a sort of important place to start. And then another thing I feel, which is not always understood so much about generative AI and things like ChatGPT, it is not a database. When the AI knows things or tells you facts or things about the world, that's not stored inside and somewhere you can go and look up exactly where it got that from. And it's not something you can go in and edit. It's trained, actually, you show it lots and lots of data, and it builds this numerical model of sort of shifting weights. The underlying metaphor is honestly the same as neurons in our brains. So when we're thinking, different neurons fire with different strengths, and the connections and strength of how much they fire is what thinking is. We can't point to a bit of your brain and say, this is the part of your brain that knows about cheese or something. It's sort of spread across the whole thing. This is really quite important. And as a very quick thing about when you're using generative AI and what to do it, this means that we have to be very careful about what data we put in situations where the model might be being trained on what we put in. So if you use the public ChatGPT without paying for it, for example, they train the model on your inputs. Same with things like Gemini and so on. And that means if you put in student data, for example, that might get trained into the model and be there, and someone else might get it coming out later, which of course is not okay. Same thing with commercially sensitive material. If you put it in where somewhere it can be trained on it, then that's essentially publishing that material publicly. Which is why the OU has rules about which systems to use or not. It's why we recommend Copilot while logged in, etc., etc. Consult the actual rules for what to use and what not. But it is important. It's not a database. It doesn't store this information. I'll very quickly talk about some of the problems. So what goes wrong? Now, you may have seen these slides before. I've certainly presented them a number of times, but it's easy to demonstrate with image generation. So if I ask for a picture of a university professor, right, we work in university, we see a lot of these people. There's a set of 4 images that came out. There's another set of 4. There's another set of 4. And there's a lot going on that's common here. Apparently, professors wear shirts, have glasses, typically look like they're male, apparently hang around standing in front of bookshelves. There is not a lot of variety or diversity in these images. Because there's not a lot of variety and diversity in how certain things are represented in human society. We have these biases, we have inequalities. And that gets shown in the pictures that are online. So it has learned this. Another example, this is probably one of my favorite ones for demonstrating the issue, asked it for a picture of a woman. And here are, I group them together here now. So there are 16 pictures again of just unmodified what you get if you ask for a picture of a woman. And you get something very highly posed with flawless makeup, doing things like touching your hair. This does not, this represents a set of stereotypes. It doesn't represent the full variety of actual women. And that's again because that's what the pictures online are more represent. So these things are trained into models. We have to take care to make sure that these sorts of things are not unduly affecting the output, that the actual things we use for education are actually representative and actually show unbiased outputs. So this is where we get the concept of responsible AI from, is to try and use AI in ways that respects the principles of equality, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. And there are several approaches people have taken to doing that. The first is legislation and regulation. So there's an EU AI Act, which is legislates for what are and aren't. What are the levels of risk of different activities you can do with AI? You have things like UK and US partnership on AI safety, with governments trying to set standards for what's allowed. There are technical approaches on recommended practices. This is how to develop software that uses AI, that relies on then developers to do things responsibly. And you can also have things like using other AIs. So it's very common to have something like a content safety model, which is an AI that looks at the output of another AI and says, is this okay according to various social standards? And that's, useful and helpful. It's not enough. So this is a category I talk about, is such a thing as irresponsible, responsible AI, when people really meant well, but didn't think it through or missed things. And quite a striking example, the first instance of Google's Gemini image generation, they tried to address bias in the models, the idea that images that was generated were not representative of different populations, by behind the scenes, when someone put in a prompt asking for a picture involving people, it would add in extra terms to what they asked for. So it would add in things like displaying an ethnically diverse group, for example, or displaying a gender diverse group, etc., etc. No matter what the prompt was put in. And very quickly, people noticed that if you asked for a Confederate soldier or a Nazi, you would get images like this. showing people who would have been targeted historically by those groups, which it clearly is not good. And not acceptable. But this came from them trying to do it right. It was just not very well thought through. It wasn't very careful or reflective. But it's still a mistake. Another one closer to home, I think. So this is an educational thing. So this is a textual description of an oil painting in an art history class. And textual description, something in particular, like what we'll often generate for accessibility, for example. That's really useful and important. Run this through a content filter. It's not hateful, doesn't talk about self-harm. 6 is the highest number here. It's got the highest rating for sexual content, and it's got 2 out of 6 for violent content. As far as I can tell, it has the word naked twice, and refers to a dagger. But this is a perfectly sensible thing to be teaching. And in fact, in education in general, we very often have to teach difficult subjects. We did the same thing. We ran the content safety filter on some history course materials from the OU, and they were flagged, given the highest rating for hate speech. The history content we ran it on was teaching the history of the transatlantic slave trade. It did talk about some horrible concepts because it had to teach them. We want to teach them. We need to teach this stuff. So you can't just take off the shelf approaches and say, oh, well, this would be unacceptable in general conversation in society, and therefore we want to filter this out. We need to be able to cover more things, but we also do need and want to protect our students from seeing inappropriate things that are not part of what we're trying to teach. So it's important to be more reflective and thoughtful about how we do this. I'm wrapping up here to pass back to Alex, but one of the goals and outcomes of the SAGE-RAI project was to develop some ethical guidelines for how to use generative AI in education. And just a very brief summary, these were the things we came up with. So you need to make sure that you're using AI responsibly and in a human-centered fashion. And in education, you need to focus on pedagogical soundness and planning ahead. What are the learning outcomes? What are you trying to achieve? You need to have clear principles of accountability, inclusivity, and human oversight. You can't just rely on machines to sort the problem for you, or from software to sort the problem for you. And you need to have a culture of trust, integrity, and transparency with everyone about the origins and about the processes and what you're going to do with those. So, for example, a bugbear of mine, I think, is to talk an awful lot about the benefits of AI in terms of productivity gains and getting the best of the human skills that educators bring to teaching, but then to turn around and say, well, with these productivity gains, well, we don't need as many teachers, do we? To me, that is unethical. If your goal is to cut staff, you should be upfront about that. If your goal is to maximize the capacity of human educators, that's what you should do, not fire them. Yeah, and then yes, Bridget, tutors will always be needed, and it's a recurring thing Alex will talk about, but participants in our pilots in AIDA and SAGE-RAI don't want any replacement of human tutors or reduction of human tutors. It consistently comes back correctly. And yeah, the last thing, of course, we need to, when we're writing them, we need to ensure high quality learning materials with diverse sources of content that is reliable. There are some technologies we use for this called retrieval augmented generation and knowledge graph based retrieval augmented generation, GraphRag. I won't go into them, but there are important ways to make sure that content is high quality and accurate and truthful. Okay, that was a bit of a lightning tour of the ethical topics. But yeah, Alex, back to you. Unless there are any questions.
Right. Yes, if we can pause for questions if there are any. Otherwise, we can move on to the last bit that we want to cover, which is about some outcomes of this work. Right. So, as I mentioned before, we have been experimenting with AIDA with OU content, within OU pilots with our students, and also this has been deployed in the ODI, in the Open Data Institute, as part of their online offerings. I'm going to show you some screencasts of what is available through the AIDA interface, and you will also have the opportunity to play with this interface as part of our hands-on session. I should also mention that in the back end, this is the AIDA agent is based on a fully shielded, controlled GPT. So no content, the educational, the OU authored content is not being used to train a public model, and also any queries, any user input is not being used to train a publicly available GPT like ChatGPT. So this is, again, I should stress that this is a safe environment for our students to receive support and guidance. So this is one of the features that I mentioned before. You can see here the AI digital assistant being integrated within an OpenLearn course. And the student can enable dynamic text and can choose to expand or simplify or rephrase content. Again, always the AI assistant always provides the sources for any for all its output. So it's easy to check the validity of what the AI has produced, and we have tried to minimize inconsistencies and hallucinations. I'm sure you must have heard of this term already. When an AI hallucinates, it generates text, it generates output which is not correct. So we have tried to minimize any hallucinations by ingesting the content, the OU content, and making sure that all responses of the AI assistant are based on the OU materials, so that they are accurate and without traces of hallucination. The other mode I would like to show you is the general chatbot mode, where the student can ask questions and they can receive answers based on the OU content. So, for example, here the student has asked about plagiarism, and the chatbot has provided a response, which again is grounded founded on the sources specifically from OpenLearn, from the OpenLearn courses that have been ingested. We are also experimenting with some more custom modes, custom guides. For example, this is an explainer mode where the student can ask questions. For example, here they are asking about learner reflection and how can this be encouraged. And then the assistant, the AI assistant, engages into a dialogue with the student, so that the student can also reflect on their perceptions and what they have learned. Similarly, we have the Socratic mode, where the AI is challenging the student. So the student starts the argument with a belief. For example, here the student states that asynchronous training is bad for students, and then they engage into a discourse, into an argument with the Socratic opponent that the AI assistant has taken the role of. Quizzes are available or generated by the AI assistant. And these can be customized to address particular needs of the learner. So here we can see that the AI has provided the results and some feedback to the learner, but then the learner can follow up with asking the AI to provide some more targeted quizzes for them. And finally, we have, in terms of revising, in terms of facilitating recall, we provide flashcards, which are made available again to all students, and these can also be customized to fit the particular needs of a student. Finally, this is something that is also quite interesting in terms of authoring a course, where we are making available the automatic generation of new learning activities based on the modes, on the types of learning activities that the OU principles when it comes to learning design dictate. So we are experimenting with generating new learning activities that are assimilative, finding, communicative, productive, experiential, assessment, and interactive. So these are the OU learning activities, which many of you are already familiar with. Aisling, you want to come in? I think
No, I was just providing background.
You put something on the chat.
Yeah, ignore me. I was just providing like some extra information in the chat.
Great.
I started typing ages ago. Don't let me interrupt.
Yeah, no worries. So finally, these are some of the latest findings of piloting AIDA with OU students that are registered with OpenLearn courses. So these are the latest results from last July. Again, as Aisling already mentioned, this is ongoing work. We have more pilots scheduled for the next few months. So in this particular experiment, this was a controlled experiment. We had 169 students complete pre-test, 132 students enrolled in one of the two OpenLearn courses that were made available with AIDA embedded. 84 students were in experimental condition and 48 in control condition, meaning that they were not using AIDA. They would use the standard OpenLearn materials without AIDA. So overall, we had good engagement with both courses and conditions, but AIDA had a significantly a longer time of learners in the course. So it kept learners more engaged with the course, and it led to 32% more pages visited within OpenLearn. And on top of that, students also reported a higher knowledge retention. 94% of them indicated that AIDA helped them better understand the course material. So these are quite encouraging results. We have also been evaluating AIDA within the SAGE-RAI project. With the ODI, the AI assistant was embedded, was used alongside the ODI course offerings, and specifically an online course on data ethics. And we interviewed some of the participants of this course afterwards. These are mature professionals that are looking to study these courses as a part of their CPD. So these are some of the themes that we identified through these interviews. The opportunities that participants mentioned had to do with quick access to course content. So a lot of participants mentioned that they use the AI assistant to quickly access course content. They use it for their assignments when it comes to validating and refining and checking the criteria for their assignments, which was, I should mention, one of the prescribed ways that the AI assistant was introduced to the learners of this course. They used it also as a non-judgmental critical friend for simple questions. They found it useful for neurodiverse learners. They found it enhances engagement with concise summaries and also signposting. They mentioned that it complements tutor support. It can free tutors it can make them more available for more complex guidance. And they also mentioned that they can see using this in a long term as a refresher in professional contexts. And they see the potential for 24/7 support and personalized learning. Some of the challenges and limitations that were identified by participants had to do with sometimes too broad or high-level responses and needing follow-up prompts to refine the responses given. Limited, they found the AI assistant limited to course material and lacking some external and current context, which is, I should mention that this is by design. We wanted to ground the AI assistant responses to the course content deliberately to eliminate. To improve accuracy and eliminate hallucinations. But we are also looking to enrich ingestion of external courses that have been vetted and verified by the module teams. Over-reliance came up also as another challenge when it comes to using AI assistants in general, reducing deeper research. Some learners only used it under time pressure, and there were some concerns about plagiarism if this is misused. Finally, some ethical concerns that came up were had to do with risk of cheating and over-dependence on AI. AI should support educators, not replace them. There is a need for strong guardrails to encourage critical thinking, and also it is important to have responsible AI governance. So these are some of the evaluation findings from SAGE-RAI. And we are currently wrapping up the project, and we'll have more detailed reports coming out, reports and publications coming out soon. Right. So we are coming towards the end of the first part of our session. Soon you'll have the chance to play with AIDA yourselves, but I should obviously acknowledge a wide team that spans units within the OU. So we have several people from KMI working on this, from IET as well. IET is also organizing another FIESTA session, which will also cover AIDA and the latest results from AIDA evaluations. So keep an eye on that as well. And within the team, we also have people from digital services and also from OpenLearn. So it's an interdisciplinary team with a lot of talent, with expertise not only in technology but also in pedagogy and in ethics. Because we want, as Aisling said, mentioned already, we want to do this the right way, pedagogically sound and ethically and responsibly as well. So these are some links that you may find useful. So the first one is the general FIESTA further support and guidance link, which applies to all sessions. We have our own website about the work we are doing in KMI together with IET and the other units at genai.kmi.openac.uk. And finally, I should also mention the FIESTA feedback form, which you can find at this URL, which will be very useful for us to have your feedback through this channel as well. So again, I would like to thank you all. And as I mentioned before, at the start of the session, the recording will be soon will be edited and will be made available internally at the AI Hub, and we'll make all our slides and all our resources available there as well. Thank you all, and have a nice afternoon and evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.